Hey gang, welcome back. It's Greg again. You were here earlier. We went over how to make pineapple salsa. And now it's time to get my corn tacos ready to go, my corn tortillas. So I'm going to show you how to get it going, and then I'll be back later once I let the dough rest a little bit in order to get it on a nice hot pan so that we can actually get it ready for our dinner. So things you're going to need for this, make sure once again you have your mise en place. I have masa harina, which is corn flour here. This is Bob's Red Mill. I love Bob's products. We have about 2 cups of masa harina already in the bowl for us. We have about 1.5 cups to 2 cups of hot water. I have a little bit of lime and then salt. Okay, so first things first, we're going to add about 1 teaspoon or so of salt. We're going to mix it right into the dough here, or right into the flour, I should say. Right. Good. So we got that. Put this off to the side. Of course, you're going to need a tortilla press, or you can use a rolling pin to get this done. From here, I'm just going to mix this salt into the masa harina. Okay. And then I'm going to get my lime ready because we're going to pour about 1 cup or so of the water in first. I need to kind of give you guys a little bit of a caveat here. This is my first time making my own homemade tortillas. So bear with me. Hopefully it'll all come out right. So we're going to pour about a cup or so of this water in here. Okay. That gets me about 1 cup. And then I'm going to also squeeze about a tablespoon or so. Something from the lime just got on there. There we go. Just about. I like, I've read a lot of recipes. Lime juice adds a nice little flavor to it. So the consistency we're looking for is going to be kind of a nice sticky, spongy rather, I should say, dough ball. So we're going to mix this. When you see this flaking, you're going to know that, first of all, I love the smell of this. This is great. I love going to those Mexican restaurants where you see one of the cooks making homemade tortillas, getting ready to go. So you see how this is kind of a little crumbly. We don't want, obviously, crumbs. We want it to melt together very nice. So that means you're going to need some more hot water here, because once we can get it to form, we're going to start kneading it with our hands, okay? So nothing better than making your own homemade food, right? You know what goes into it. I'm assuming in most Mexican restaurants that you go to, whether that's Poquito Mas here in Los Angeles, El Torito Grill, wherever you eat your Mexican food, and they make their own tortillas, that the ingredients are pretty much similar, right? A little bit more water here. And then I'm just going to start kneading this with my hands once I incorporate this water. So the other thing I have behind me is going to be a damp towel, because we're going to let this rest a little bit. Some recipes differ. Some say 10 minutes, some say an hour. I think Bob's Red Mill on their package says about an hour or so. I'm not going to let it rest that much. And then you also want to make sure, I'm going to get this spoon out of the way, and we're just going to knead this dough together. So what's going to end up happening, if it's too wet, you're going to want to add a little more masa into the bowl. If it's too dry, you're going to add a little bit more water. The other thing you'll notice is once you get ready to press the tortilla, which I'll show you in a little bit later video, probably in about 30 minutes from now, we will, if it sticks to whether you're using parchment paper or I'm using a Ziploc bag that I cut in half, a gallon Ziploc bag. Then from there, you can, add more flour if it's sticking, which means there's probably a little too much moisture in your dough ball. So obviously making sure that you're not sticking too much. So you're gonna knead this with your hands, because eventually you're going to want to roll this into a nice a ball, right? Because that's what you're going to use to make your tortillas. So masa is because we're making corn tortillas, right? We're not making flour tortillas. So you want masa, Mexican cornmeal here. That lime juice just adds a little extra flavor to it, which I think will be great. And you're probably like, wait a minute, you just told us this is your first time making it, so how do you know? I've consulted with a whole bunch of people on this. So this dough is a little sticky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a touch more masa to it. But first I'm going to rinse my hands. Okay, I have my nice bag of masa here. I probably used about a cup and a half of water right now. I'm going to grab one of my towels that are back here because I have another towel for later. Okay, just going to add a little bit more masa on the top here. Okay, just a little bit. That should be nice and good. Remember, you don't want it super sticky. You'll roll it around the bowl. Make sure you pick up all that extra masa. Spongy, sponge-like. How do you know what a sponge is like? So if you've ever, obviously if you wash dishes, if you have a sink sponge, you want it a little bit wet because otherwise it's just dry and kind of gross feeling, right? So a little bit wet. This is looking great right now. Hope you guys are ready for tacos. Behind me, I'll show you in a second. I'll wash my hands because I'm going to show you what we're doing tonight here at the Cohen household. But we're going to keep this dough still a little sticky, maybe just a touch more masa, and then we'll call it a day here, okay? It's all trial and error, right? You'll have to see how it comes out. We'll know when we make that first tortilla in a little bit. So just a touch more masa here. This is gonna make about 12 or so tortillas. About 12 or so tortillas. Turn that off so you can hear me. You can obviously always cut your recipes in half if you want to make less. You can make these. You can also refrigerate the dough if you're not ready to make it right away. If you are going to make all of them, just make sure that you refrigerate the shells once you make them on the stovetop, which I'll show you a little bit later. But here you go. Here you have it. That feels a lot better now. Kind of like that sponge material. So this is what we're looking for, gang, right? Put it right back in here. And now we're just going to let this guy rest. So I'm going to rinse my hands one more time. Always make sure you're near your sink or somewhere where you can wash your hands and get some of that flour or dough or cornmeal in this case off. I already have a damp towel. All I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this bowl. I'm going to make sure I have more water for when we're about to make it. So I'm covering it right there. And that's making the dough. So we'll be back. I'll be back a little bit later, maybe probably in about 30 minutes. Right here, I have some sweet potatoes that I roasted off, put some taco seasoning on it. I found this really cool taco seasoning from Siete. They make really good tortillas too that are gluten-free and things like that, like cassava flour. This is a mild taco seasoning. Of course, you can make your own at home, chili powder, garlic powder. This has some nutritional yeast in it, which is actually really good for you. And then we're going to roast these off at 425, and I'm going to add these to my tacos later. So go grab a drink, maybe have a snack, and I'll see you back here in a little bit, and we'll get going. See you guys.